fireworks that made the crowd scream that night. It was a single voice whispering with trembling emotion, "I trust Army." And in that instant, thousands of lights flickered across the stadium like stars suddenly being born. Because that night in Incheon, something far beyond music happened. It was the sound of a promise being fulfilled, the moment a man who had run across the world finally came home. Under the crisp autumn sky, the main stadium of Incheon Moonhak was overflowing with voices. Fans wrapped in purple scarves, clutching their light sticks close, waited for him. Some had traveled for hours, others had waited since dawn, and all of them carried the same anticipation to see Jin one last time on the Run Seok Jin Encore. Suddenly, instead of stepping onto the main stage, Jin appeared on the running track. The crowd gasped. He didn't wait for the spotlight. He ran straight into the crowd, his silver mic glinting under the floodlights. As he sprinted around the stadium, his voice rang out with Running Wild and I'll Be There. It was raw, breathless, and full of joy. He wasn't performing for the fans, he was running to them. That was the meaning behind Run Seok Jin. Not just the title of a tour, but a symbol of his heart. "Let's run together until the very end," he said. And from that moment, every step he took on that track became a heartbeat shared with Army. Long before the concert, Jin had already shown how much he cared. The night before, after finishing rehearsal, he opened Weavers and wrote a simple message. "The weather has gotten a lot colder. My breath was coming out while I was rehearsing. It does get a little warmer as I perform, but I think it would be good for those coming tomorrow and the day after to dress warmly. See you tomorrow, everyone." It wasn't a grand announcement. It was warmth disguised as words. While others were preparing stages and lights, Jin was worried that his fans might be cold. The Encore concert itself was almost a miracle. Every major venue in Korea was already booked. Jin had said before that he might not be able to do an encore at all. But when one stadium suddenly opened, even with only 11 days left to prepare, he didn't hesitate. He rearranged schedules, called his team, and made it happen. Because when Army asked for one more chance, Jin chose to give them his all. And so, on October 31st and November 1st, the night sky of Incheon became a galaxy of purple lights. The concert lasted 2.5 hours, 18 songs, an all-live band. Every sound, every note was alive. He opened his heart with songs that meant the most to him. The Truth Untold, played live on the piano, his fingers trembling slightly as he sang. He revisited Awake, the song that had been sleeping for 8 long years. As his voice soared through the high notes, fans who had followed BTS since the beginning couldn't hold back their tears. You could hear sobs mixing with cheers, voices trembling as they sang along, because it wasn't just Jin's song anymore, it was everyone's. But Jin didn't stop there. He turned the stadium into a playground. There were fun segments called Through Army, where he tried to guess words just by watching the audience's gestures, and Sing Army, where he guessed lyrics from their chants. He laughed until his eyes disappeared into crescents, teasing fans when they shouted too loud or too softly. Every laugh, every smile, felt like he was personally talking to each person there. And then came the moment that no one expected. A familiar beat started to play, and suddenly, J-Hope and Jungkook appeared on stage. The crowd exploded. The three performed Super Tuna together, the stadium shaking from laughter and cheers. It was pure chaos, the kind that only BTS can create. Then, one by one, the other members joined. Jungkook took over with Standing Next to You. J-Hope followed with Killin' It Girl. V stepped onto the stage with Love Me Again, his voice husky, eyes glistening under the lights. And when he looked at Jin, his expression softened. "I've wanted to see this scene so much," V said, his voice trembling. "I was suddenly overcome with emotion when I imagined all 7 of us standing together." And just when everyone thought the surprises were over, Jimin appeared. The stadium erupted into screams that shook the night sky. Together, they sang a medley of Idol, So What, and My Universe. The harmony of their voices made the air vibrate. For a few minutes, it felt as if all 7 were there again, even those who couldn't be on stage that night. When the music paused, Jin stood still, looking around the stadium. His voice broke slightly as he said, "It's been a while since I sang with the members, but it felt so natural. We will come back to you with an even cooler image as a group." Army's voices completed this concert. I will continue to believe in you until the end. The audience roared back in unison, shouting his name. Thousands of fans cried, waved banners, and whispered, "We love you," into the air. For the encore, the lights dimmed. A soft glow began to rise, and then everyone saw it. A giant hot air balloon shaped like Wutio, Jin's little astronaut character, floated above the crowd. Inside, Jin stood, holding his microphone close to his heart. As he sang Moon, fans lifted moon-shaped papers and waved them toward him, filling the night with light. Fireworks burst into the sky, painting it in purple and gold. The music blended with laughter, tears, and voices singing along. A symphony made not by instruments, but by love. And as the final note faded, the stadium screen flickered. The words appeared slowly. #show Kjin bot tour the movie, December coming soon. Fans screamed again, realizing this wasn't the end. Another chapter was about to begin. Jin smiled softly, waving as the lights dimmed. In that moment, everyone understood. When he said, "I trust ARMY," it wasn't just a phrase. It was his truth, the foundation of every step he's taken. From the cold rehearsals, where his breath turned white, to the warm cheers that wrapped around him, Jin showed what it means to love sincerely, endlessly, and bravely. That night, the moon over Incheon didn't just shine, it ran. And Jin, surrounded by his members, his fans, and the endless sky, ran with it, straight into the hearts of everyone who believed in him. Because the night Jin trusted ARMY, he reminded the world of something simple and unforgettable. Even when the music fades, love never does.